Good morning. It's actually the evening before, but this is going to be released on September the 30th, 2024. This is the Bible study where we're going to be going through Proverbs 30, chapter 30. I'm in the New King James Version, Dr. David Jeremiah Study Bible, and we're going to read Proverbs 30 and take a look at Dr. David Jeremiah's notes on this chapter, and then we'll go put our armor that God provides for us on so that we can face the day well prepared. So we start in chapter 30. That corresponds with the date. That is the reason we're in chapter 30. Excuse me. Verse 1, chapter 30 starts out, the words of Agar, the son of Jachin, his utterance. This man declared to Ithiel and Ucal. And there's a note, if I don't pronounce these names right, please do not hold that against me. I want to. They're in the Bible because God wanted them in the Bible. I wholly believe that, so there's an importance to it, but I probably am not saying all these names just right. The note with verse 1 says, the identity of Agar is unknown. He seems to have been humble, observant, and inquisitive. His words are addressed to a pair of individuals whose identities are also unknown. It is possible that Ithiel and Ucal are not really names, but words that should be translated. I am weary, God, but I can prevail. Some versions of the Bible translate this verse according to the latter option or something akin to it. Interesting. I wholeheartedly believe they're in there because God wanted them in there, or they wouldn't be in there. We may someday know why, and we may not until we get to heaven. Verse 2, surely I'm more stupid than any man, and do not have the understanding of a man. I neither learned wisdom nor have knowledge of the Holy One. Verse 4, who has ascended into heaven or descended? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if you know? And then the note on verse 4. Verse 4 is a long verse. Note on verse 4 is Agar asks, what is his name? In the ancient world, knowledge of God's name implied understanding of his characteristics, as well as an individual's closeness to him. Dina just walked in. Verse 5. Every word of God is pure. He is a shield to those who put their trust in him. Do not add to his words, lest he rebuke you and you be found a liar. Verse 7 through 9 has a note, so let's go with verse 7. Two things I request of you: deprive me not before I die. Remove falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food allotted to me, lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of God. And the note there says, the extremes of poverty and riches, bringing with them certain temptations. Abundance tempts people to feel unrealistically self-sufficient. Need tempts them to stop trusting God and to resort to acts that harm others. That is true. Verse 10. Do not malign a servant to his master, lest he curse you and you be found guilty. Verse 11 through verse 14 has a note. There is a generation that curses its father and does not bless its mother. There is a generation that is pure in its own eyes, yet is not washed from its filthiness. There is a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are like swords, and whose fangs are like knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men. And the note says, each verse in this segment begins with the same word in the Hebrew text, generation. Four behaviorist characterized a majority of the population in view. They cause parents. They are self-righteous. They extrude arrogance, and they oppress the poor and needy. And the first one was they curse parents, not cause parents. So again, that's the four characteristics. Back to verse 15. Verse 15 through verse 16 also has a note. It says, the leech has two daughters, give and give. There are three things that are never satisfied, four never say enough. The grave, the barren womb, the earth that is not satisfied with water, and the fire never says enough. And the note on this one says, these verses vividly address various consumption and the insatiable appetite of four realities: the grave, the barren womb, the earth, fire. The leech has two daughters, and anterior and posterior sucker. Give and give may be the names of the suckers, or it may be what they cry. Verse 17. The eye that mocks his father and scorns obedience is his... let me start that again. Verse 17. The eye that mocks his father and scorns obedience to his mother, the ravens of the valley will pluck it out, and the young eagles will eat it. There are three things which are too wonderful for me, yes, four, which I do not understand. The way of an eagle in the air, the way of a serpent on a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of a man with a virgin. This is the way of adulterous women. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wickedness. For three things the earth is perturbed. Yes, for four it cannot bear up. And I know I'm not pronouncing that word right. Perturbed. For a servant when he reigns, a fool when he is filled with food, a hateful woman when she is married, and a maidservant who succeeds her mistress. I'm really going to read those verses again. It's in verse 21 and it goes through 23. For three things the earth is perturbed. Yes, for four it cannot bear up. For a servant when he reigns, a fool when he is filled with food, a hateful woman when she is married, and a maidservant who succeeds her mistress. There are four things which are little on the earth, but they are exceedingly wise. The ant are a people not strong, yet they prepare their food in the summer. The rock badgers are a feeble folk, yet they make their homes in the crags. The locusts have no king, yet they all advance in ranks. The spider skillfully grasps with its hands, and it is in kings' palaces. Verse 29 through verse 31 has a note. So we'll start in verse 29. There are three things which are majestic in peace, yes, four which are stately in walk: a lion which is mighty among beasts, and does not turn away from any, a greyhound, a male goat also, and a king whose troops are with him. If you have, let's read that note right quick. Stately, noble behavior neither exalts nor depreciates oneself. A proper bearing in life comes from functioning as God created a person to function. Verse 32. If you have been foolish in exalting yourself, or if you have devised evil, put your hand on your mouth. For as the churning of milk produces butter, and wringing the nose produces blood, so the forcing of wrath produces strife. And we are done right there with the proverb. Flip this back. Let me put my bookmark back on chapter 1. That's where we'll start back Tuesday or tomorrow after you watch this. Proverbs chapter 1. Right there. Okay. Now let's jump over to Ephesians 6, verse 10 through verse 20. And let's put on our armor so we can be prepared to face the day. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints, and for me, that utterance may be given to me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in it I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. All right, y'all, we are ready to face the day. We've got a Proverbs under our belt, and we have put on our armor that God has provided for us to help protect us against all that we will face in this world. Thank you guys for watching this, and I hope you got a little something out of it. I love you guys. I want to say God bless you, and I want to challenge you guys to be a blessing for someone else. Have a great day. Sorry this is pre-recorded. I prefer to do it live. And we will see you tomorrow, Tuesday, the first day of October. God bless.